I am Elizabeth J.A. Siwo-Okundi. There are so many reasons why we preachers do not preach about violence against women and girls. The main reason is that we are afraid. We don't want to say the wrong thing or scare anyone away or offend anyone. So instead, we just say nothing, act as though it does not exist, or we hope that someone else will preach about it. But if we preachers do not preach about violence against women and girls, then someone else will. That someone will preach emotionally by belittling and bullying, shaming and blaming, teasing and torturing her. That someone will preach psychologically by humiliating and harassing, controlling and confusing, accusing and abusing her. That someone will preach physically by beating and bruising, pinching and punching, slapping and stabbing, kicking and killing her. If we preachers do not preach about violence against women and girls, then someone else will. That someone will preach silently by viciously staring at her, stalking her, and using body language to intimidate her. That someone will preach anonymously by groping and grabbing her. That someone will preach culturally by using tradition and honor as excuses to punish, stone, mutilate, and burn her. If we preachers do not preach about violence against women and girls, then someone else will. That someone will preach electronically by calling and texting her, photographing and recording her. That someone will preach verbally by criticizing her character and community, isolating her from her family and friends, and threatening her. That someone will preach sexually by forcing and fondling, assaulting and attacking, pimping, trafficking, exploiting, molesting, and raping her. If we preachers do not preach about violence against women and girls, then someone else will. That someone will preach economically by ruining her credit, creating debt in her name, and refusing to pay school fees and medical bills for her. That someone will preach politically by denying her rights, reducing her to a statistic, and failing to grant justice to her. And that someone will preach spiritually by turning sacred texts into texts of terror and domination, by twisting love and forgiveness until they are unrecognizable, by choking her with lies about what the Bible says or what God says. If we preachers do not preach about violence against women and girls, then someone else will. So we must preach. We must preach with her, for her, in praise of her, and in memory of her. We must preach boldly and truthfully and lovingly and faithfully. We must preach.